Good morning. We are beginning our next little Unit 5 mini lesson. It'll be on lessons 10 through 13. There will be a quiz in the next few days or next couple of days, probably next week, towards the end of the week sometime. So here we go. This is it. This is the nuts and bolts of pre-algebra. This ties everything together that we've been studying. Order of operations, properties of multiplication and addition that we can apply to solve problems. So let's take a look at this first situation. If you buy potato salad at a deli, your cost is related to the amount you buy. The more you buy, the greater your cost. The amount and the cost vary, V-A-R-Y. In other words, that these amounts of both of those things are changing. There isn't one common number. In other words, as the amount of potato salad changes, so does the cost of the potato salad change. We can set up some different situations, and we'll be making a table, we'll be making a graph, and we'll be writing an equation so we can find the cost for any amount of potato salad. That's the definition of algebra. And usually when you assign a variable, what's typical is you take the variable that, or the item that you're talking about, and they usually just pick like the first letter of that item. So in this example, P will stand for the number of pounds of potato salad a person buys. C will represent the cost in dollars for that number of pounds. Each variable above includes a unit of measure. That's important as well. How are these things being counted or weighed or measured? What's the label for that topic? The variable P represents the number of pounds of potato salad, pounds being the unit of measure, and C represents the cost in dollars, dollars being the unit of measure. So let's continue on with this situation. We can just for a few whiles, we'll take a look at how these two topics are related to each other by modeling how they change on a number line. A double number line can be used to illustrate the relationship between pounds and cost. A double number line is a pair of number lines that show how two variables relate to each other. The double number line below shows how pounds, or P, and cost, C, vary together. The top number line has a label. It represents the cost in dollars. You can see the label at the end of the number line, and right below that. And then these tick marks represent a certain stopping point on the number line. So starting on the left, if there are 0 pounds of potato salad purchased, you're going to pay $0. If you purchase a quarter pound of potato salad, you'll pay $1. If you purchase half a pound, you'll pay $2. If you purchase 3/4 of a pound, $3, etc. So why are two variables needed to represent this situation? Why can't we just use one variable? Why can't we just use P? Why do we need to specify a unit of measure when we define the variable? And finally, what is wrong with the following definitions of the variable P? What is wrong with let P be the potato salad someone buys? And bullet point 2, let P be the weight of the potato salad a person buys. This next few questions regarding the definition or defining variables and some important rules to follow when you pick your variable and actually defining what the variable stands for in your equations. At a filling station, a gasoline pump fills the fuel tank of a car at a rate of 1 pint per second. What's kind of cool is when you see this in the situation, this word rate, it indicates what is coming up. It indicates the two things. So here we have gasoline by the pint, and it's going into the gas tank in seconds. So here's our two quantities. There are two quantities in this situation. The two quantities vary together. As one changes, the other changes too. The two quantities are the amount of gasoline and time it takes to fill up the gas tank. Question 5, what units could you use for these two quantities? Well, they're kind of given to us. pints and seconds. For the amount of gasoline, we're going to measure the amount of gasoline going into the gas tank using pints because that's what they told us. We can't just pick. Sometimes you might just pick, but for the most part, 99% of the time, they're going to tell you the units you should use in the situation example itself. Time is going to be measured in seconds. Okay, define the two variables for your quantities in exercise 4. Okay, so I'm going to use G. Let G represent pints of gasoline. And I'm going to let T, well, let's do S. S represent time it takes to fill the gas tank in seconds. Label this number line to show how the quantities vary together. So I'm going to put gasoline or pints of gasoline up on top, and I'm going to put seconds here on the bottom. And now I have to go back to the situation, and I'm going to remind myself of the rate. So here it is. If I have 1 pint per 1 second of time going into the gas tank, so if I have 0 pints in the gas tank, 0 seconds have ticked off. If 1 second ticks off, I have 1 pint. 2 seconds go by, 2 pints of gas, 3 seconds. It's a 1-to-1 rate. So you can fill it out like this. Oops, that should be 4, 5, and 5. Let's take a new situation and tie it all together. This is the basics. This is the foundation of anything algebra. There will be a table. The diagram isn't the basic, but there will be a table and an equation. And eventually we're going to lead to the third part, a graph. We're going to graduate from making a diagram here in the next few days. Mr. Prado makes his own salad dressing by mixing vegetable oil and vinegar in a ratio of 5 ounces of vegetable oil to every 1 ounce of vinegar. So remember the order and label. So here's the important information we need to know. This is the relationship. We have vegetable oil and vinegar forming a relationship, making salad dressing. And here is the ratio, 5 ounces of vegetable oil. Every time I have 5 ounces of that, I have 1 ounce of vinegar to mix in. If I want to keep the salad dressing tasting the same, that's the recipe I'm going to use. Define the variable X for the amount of vegetable oil. And define. So they have chosen the letters for us. So X will be the number of ounces of vegetable oil, and Y will be the number of ounces of vinegar. Now, I don't think you guys have this page in your packet, but that's okay. You can still follow along with the video. Complete the table, then discuss how the table and the diagram and the equations are related. We won't have a discussion here. But if X is the number of vegetable oil, if I have 5 ounces of vegetable oil, I have 1 ounce of vinegar. If I have 2 ounces, I need to have 10 here. If I have 3 ounces, 15, 4 ounces, I have 20. Now, did I do that right? Is it 5 vegetable oil to 1? Yep. Okay, here's a diagram showing that tape diagram method. Every time I have 5 of this, I have to have 1 of these to keep the salad dressing tasting the same. And here is our previous work of equations. We can represent this diagram a few ways. To figure out if every time I have 1 X, I have 5 Y's. Okay, now that might look funny, but if I have 1 of these, oh, do I have, no, I have that backwards. Shoot. Sorry for that, I don't have it backwards. So if I have 1 of these, or if I have 1 of these, I need 5 of these. to keep it to the same, because actually 1 ounce of vinegar is divided by 5. So I take the amount of vegetables, divide by 5, and so on. So there's a couple of ways. This is probably the easiest way to write that. Writing equations for a relationship. Okay, this is a biggie. This is something that you will have to do for a very long time in your future math careers, but we have an electronics store offers a payment plan for purchases over $200. Customers can make a $100 down payment and then pay the remainder in 3 equal payments. So they define the variable for us. T will be the total amount that the customer has to pay in dollars, and P will be the amount of each payment and the payment plan in dollars as well. So here we have to figure out the missing amounts in the table. So we have to do some math work. We have the diagram to help us. Either way, the end of this is the total cost of the appliance or the electronics at the electronics store. So, so I'm going to purchase a TV that's over $200. So they have arranged that. I don't have the full price right now on me. So they said, hey, you know what? If you give me $100 right now, you can walk out of that store with the TV, but then you owe me the remainder. We'll divide up the remainder, your balance of the TV, into 3 equal payments. Now, depending on the electronics that you're purchasing, those 3 equal payments that you have left could change. Maybe you're just buying, you know, a smartphone or a computer, which are different prices, but they require a $100 deposit. That's a constant. That price isn't going to change. So that's how it shows up here. So we can work backwards from this example, or, you know, I recommend scratch paper and I recommend a calculator. But anyway, so here we have the purchase price, or the payment plan was 3 of those. So for this first row, if this is $150, I have to pay that 3 times over the next, 3 months. And then I add in this $100 deposit that I paid for a total purchase price for that item of, what is that, $450 of $550. Okay. Now I can also use the diagram to work backwards. If all of this equals $1,000, I'll change the color here. If the total amount equals $1,000, I can work backwards. First thing I'm going to do is subtract $100 from the total price, and I'm left with $900. Now that's the balance that's due. I'm going to divide that into 3 equal payments, smaller payments, which turns out to be $300 each month for the next month. So the repayment plan is $300 3 times, and that will cover the total cost of $1,000. You work backwards here and you try to do your own and enter your answer into these remaining 2 boxes. Okay, check your answers. The total cost, if you had to pay $250, is $900. If the total cost of the item was $475, minus your $100 deposit leaves you with $375 left you owe, divided by 3 is $125 for the next 3 months. Now going to an equation, you can kind of use your scratch worker. This is where you take what you did and put it into an equation so that you can solve any problem that I put in this row. To figure out the total purchase price of the item, what did we do? We put down $100. It's our constant deposit. And then we made 3 equal size payments. So we could have done P plus P plus P, which repeated addition is the same as multiplication, 3 times P. How did we figure out our monthly payment for the next 3 months? We took the total price, we subtracted the $100 deposit, and then we divided that answer by 3. See if you can answer this one on your own. In a bread dough recipe, the ratio of cups of flour to cups of water is 2 to 1. Answer questions 12 through 15, and then check your answers when you're done. Okay, check your answers, see how you did. You have a homework assignment. Please check the agenda for your homework. We'll see you tomorrow.